Good morning, Year 4, and welcome to your English lesson today. Today we're finishing off our lesson on writing to entertain by finishing off our character description. So, today we're looking at the end of the second paragraph and then the whole of the third paragraph. So I'm just going to read you the sentences that we still need to cover today from the second paragraph. For a brief moment, the soldier considered clambering down the dell to collect the carcass and his pilum, but that seemed like too much effort. Picking up his kit, the soldier wandered off. So remember, this is showing he's lazy because he can't even be bothered to walk down the dell to pick up the deer and his pilum that he's chucked across, and he just grabs his kit and he wanders off. Not even any effort, he just wanders off. So let's look at the first sentence we're going to look at today. This is still in paragraph 2. So the original says, for a brief moment, the soldier considered clambering down the dell to collect the carcass and his pilum, but that seemed like too much effort. Now, to make my character seem brave and heroic, so here is my sentence. I think it describes him as brave because he's not retreating, because that'd be cowardly, but of course I can make this always a bit better. Now, the first thing I want to change is, I don't like this for a brief moment. I think that seems too long. He's brave and warrior-like, so I'm going to change this to, for a split second, the soldier considered retreating to safety, but that seemed too cowardly. Right, so I've got the soldier here. I think I could describe the soldier to make him sound like a more brave, battle-hardened warrior. So I'm going to go with, he's just chopped someone's head into. I know, he's going to be blood splattered, not plattered. The blood-splattered soldier. That's starting to sound a bit brave, a bit gruesome now, because he just hit someone's head in two. Considered retreating safety, but this retreating to safety, but this seemed too cowardly. Well, I like retreating. It's a really good, powerful verb, and therefore I think I should probably stick an adverb to go with it. So I'm going to put the adverb, he considered hastily retreating to safety, but this seemed too cowardly. Okay, so hastily means to do things very quickly. So let's have a look at my sentence now. For a split second, the blood-splattered soldier considered hastily retreating to safety, but that seemed too cowardly. So I think that's showing he's brave because he's not retreating to safety, as I said, but now it's hastily retreating. He's blood-splattered, which really gives you that image in your mind of this brave, heroic character who's just chopped someone's head in two. So now that I've done my scruffy version, I would obviously then go and do my nice, neat version. Let's have a look at the last sentence in paragraph 2. It's a quite short one, this one. Picking up his kit, the soldier wandered off. Now, this only really shows that he's lazy because he's wandered off. He's not marched off, he's not stomped off, he's just wandered off. Well, I don't want my brave character to wander off. He's just hit someone in the head with a sword. He's not now going to walk off. So I've made this sentence slightly longer. I've gone for wiping the blood off his gladius with his cape, the soldier charged towards the terrified enemy. I think that's showing that he's brave because he's charging towards the terrified enemy. He's not running away from him. He's not even sneaking towards them. Brave actions, he's charging towards them. I think he's showing he's quite a brave, heroic character, but he's got a cape. You normally if you have a cape, you generally tend to be a hero, and he's wiping blood on it, so he probably doesn't even care about how much he looks like, but he's really is a brave, heroic character. Obviously, as before though, this could be better. So the first thing that springs to mind when I'm thinking about the added description here is the blood. Now, I know in Year 4 we're experts at describing blood. So the first thing that popped into my mind from all those conversations I've had before was hot crimson blood. But I've already used the word crimson, so I'm going to go with wiping the hot, gory blood off his gladius. I think that really is describing the extra blood. The fact that he's just on his gladius, that gory, hot, oh, it's a not blood. It's hot, not blood, hot blood. Wiping the hot, gory blood of his gladius makes him sound a bit more brave and heroic. With his cape, I thought about describing his cape, but I've already done a lot of description about capes and uniform, and I don't want to just keep overburdening it. But the soldier, I thought I definitely need to put something in about him, and I had a really good idea for him. He is going to be a battle-hardened Now, battle-hardened means someone who has fought in lots of different battles, is really brave and strong, and is used to fighting lots of people. He's charged towards a terrified enemy. Now, I quite like the word charged. It could be better, though, that verb, and I'm going to replace it with, instead of charged, he bounded. So if you remember, bounded means he's so excited about going to get those enemies. He's rushing really quickly. He's almost leaping with joy that he's going to do it. And I'm also then going to put here an adverb to go with it. He boldly bounded towards the terrified enemies. How have I spelled boldly wrong? Boldly, there we go. The battle-hardened soldier boldly bounded towards the terrified enemy. That's really starting to sound like a brave character through his actions. Now, do you remember how before, when we made the setting seem horrible, that made the character seem braver? Well, I'm thinking if I make these enemy sound more scared than terrified, it's going to make him seem even braver. So I'm going to get rid of terrified, and I'm going to replace that with petrified enemy. So let's look at my sentence now. Wiping the hot, gory blood off his gladius with his cape, the battle-hardened soldier boldly bounded towards the petrified enemy. So this is your turn now to have a go at the sentence. This sentence obviously is all about something they're going to do. Either they could pick things up and walk off, or they're going to be charging towards an enemy, depending on a characteristic. They might be falling over, they might be tripping over, they might be rushing and jumping towards the deer or the enemy, whatever it is in your story. So have a go then at that sentence. You've done your scruffy version, and then write it up neatly. So let's move on to paragraph 3 of our character description. I think this is one of the most interesting paragraphs for our character description, because the first paragraph was all about the physical description, the second paragraph was all about the character actions, all linked to their characteristic, but the third paragraph jams that all together for another character, a god-type character. So this is where we've got to get everything in really quickly into one paragraph. So the original paragraph said, Diana, the goddess of wild animals, had been watching the lethargic soldier in disgust. Her heavenly face pinched in a vicious scowl, the luxurious silken tunica that encased her godly frame fizzled with rage. Clutching her golden bow in a strong hand, she swept through the forest in search of her revenge. So let's have a look at the first sentence. Diana, the goddess of wild animals, had been watching the lethargic soldier in disgust. So here, we've got about the soldier again. In the original one, he's lazy. Lethargic is another word for lazy. Okay? And we know that Diana is not happy about what's happening because she's watching him in disgust. Well, in my sentence, I'm obviously going to have Mars, the god of war, and he quite likes the enemy being killed. So rather than watching in horror, he's going to watch, in disgust, he's watching in admiration. So my sentence is, Mars, the god of war, had been watching the warrior in admiration. I was getting bored of saying the word soldier, so I've replaced it with the word warrior. But obviously, that sentence could be much better. It's a bit boring at the moment. I know a little bit about Mars, not a lot, and there's really nothing about the soldier in there. So, I'm going to start with, first of all, Mars, the something god of war. I think I could put an adjective in here. So I'm going to go, he is the glorious god of war. Okay, now he'd been watching the warrior. I don't think watching is a particularly good verb. I know I can do better, and the verb that always springs to mind is observing. Okay, it's a bit like watching, but watching more carefully. And now that I put a powerful verb in there, I really should be putting an adverb in there too to add a bit more description. Now, I think that Mars is going to be quite happy that he's seeing this soldier chopping people's heads open. So I'm going to have him have been cheerfully observing. So he's really happy while he's watching someone do this. Bit weird, but there you go. And then I've got that warrior, but there's no description about him there. And I had battle hardened before, and I like this kind of theme of giving him a characteristic through his description. So I'm going to make him observing the bloodthirsty. Okay, it's not describing what he looks like here, it's describing his characteristic. He's a bloodthirsty warrior. So let's look at my sentence now. Mars, the glorious god of war, had been cheerfully observing the bloodthirsty warrior in admiration. So, time for you to have a first go on your paragraph sentence 1. This is where you're going to introduce the god. And like we said, it could either be kind of Mars or Diana, or you may have gone really exciting and gone for a different god. Okay, and they're obviously watching this character in some way, and they're probably going to be happy or maybe a bit sad about what they're doing. So have a go at yours and make sure you're getting that characterization across in the things that they do. So let's have a look at the second sentence in the second paragraph. It says, her heavenly face pinched into a vicious scowl. So this is obviously all about Diana. And we can tell that she is not happy. She has a heavenly face. She must be quite beautiful. She is a god after all. And then it pinched into a vicious scowl. Well, a scowl is that horrible look on your face when you're really unhappy. And if her face is pinched into it, I can just imagine that face screwing up in absolute anger about what she's seeing. Well, obviously, Mars is not going to be doing that. He is going to be very happy about seeing dead people. He is a god of war after all. So I've gone with, his heavenly face exploded with a joyful roar of support. Okay, so he's still got that heavenly face, still quite beautiful. He is a god after all. But this time his face has exploded, and it's a joyful roar because he is really happy and he is supporting the warrior. So I think this definitely shows something about Mars, his characteristics. He is definitely happy about seeing all this blood and violence. I also know a bit about the way physically he looks. He looks heavenly. He must be pretty handsome, this chap. Okay? So I still think it could be better. Now, I don't think I like the word heavenly. I don't want a heavenly face. So I'm going to go with magnificent. His magnificent face exploded with a joyful roar of support. It's still making him sound like a handsome chap there, but I just didn't like the word heavenly. I think magnificent works better. Exploded, again, is an absolutely lovely verb. And if we've got a lovely verb, sticking an adverb where it makes it even better. And I'm going to go with that class favourite, suddenly. His magnificent face suddenly exploded with a joyful roar. So he's watching, then suddenly his face lights up and he roars out in support. I think this is sounding really good so far. It's showing some really good characterization towards Mars. The last bit I want to change is the bit that says support. I'm not sure I like support. Sounds like almost like he's just going to, help him a bit, like he's the TA of the battle. Okay, so I don't want that. I'm going to get rid of support, and I'm going to put it as triumph. Okay, because the character is still a brave hero character. He's got to win, and triumph means you're winning. Okay, so his magnificent face suddenly exploded with a joyful roar of triumph. I think that tells us a lot about Mars. And it tells us a really interesting thing about the character. So, your turn now. This is where your character, your god character, is going to do something with their face. It might be happy, it might be smiling, whatever it is. It's a nice short sentence, but don't forget to put some lovely descriptive vocabulary in there as well. Moving on to the next sentence. This one is all about describing what the god looks like. Here's our physical description, all kind of squished into one sentence. So the original one says, the luxurious silken tunica that encased her godly frame fizzled with rage. So we know that she's wearing nice fancy silken tunicas, not the woolen ones like everyone else. She's got a godly frame, so she's got her body. It seems very godly. It's not human-like. It's just wonderful and magnificent. But her body is fizzling with rage. She's so angry that her entire body is fizzling with rage. Okay, so moving on to what my Mars character would look like. Obviously, he's not fizzling with rage. He's going to fizzle with bloodlust. He's determined to get in there and start killing people. He's not just going to wear a silken tunica. He's a god of war. He's wearing shiny golden armour. So my next sentence now says, the shiny golden armour that encased his godly body fizzled with bloodlust. Now, I don't really think I like shiny golden armour. It seems a bit boring, this. And it is words we use all the time. So I'm going to get rid of shiny and golden. And I'm going to replace them with the exquisite. Oh, it's so magnificent. His armour is absolutely exquisite. The exquisite armour that encased his godly body. We had godly in the last one, and I still like it. I think he's a god. We're going to go with godly body, but it's this bit encased. It's a lovely, powerful verb, and therefore we should probably stick an adverb in front of it. And I want to get across that this god is a pretty good-looking chap. He's a god. He's pretty handsome. So I'm going to have that beautifully encased. So his armour is so magnificent and exquisite that it not just wraps around his body and encases him, it beautifully does it. We're really getting this idea that he is a strong god of war, but he likes to look good. He probably spends a bit of time doing his hair in the morning, a bit of aftershave on as well, so makes sure he smells nice. So he's beautifully encased. Fizzled, I think that worked absolutely brilliantly when we did Diana thinking about the deer, but I don't think it quite works here. So I'm going to change his godly body fizzled to crackled, but I want to add a simile to that. It's crackled like lightning with bloodlust. I can never spell lightning. How do you spell it? There we go. So the exquisite armour that beautifully encased his godly body crackled like lightning with bloodlust. Oh, doesn't that sound good? Doesn't that make him sound like an exciting character, this god? He's looking good, but he's still ready to start killing people. Okay, so this is your turn now. Have a think about your god character. What are they going to look like? How are you going to describe them? Are they going to be happy with the bloodlust, or are they going to be furious that they've killed somebody? So have a go at writing yours. Pause the video here and have a go at writing your next sentence. The next sentence says, clutching her golden bow in her strong hands, she swept through the forest in search of her revenge. This is Diana. She is pretty narked with our soldier for killing the deer. So she's got a bow and off she goes. She's going to go shoot him with her bow. Obviously, Mars is not going to be annoyed. He's not going to go and shoot the soldier with a bow. So for my sentence, I've gone with, clutching his golden pilum and gladius in his enormous hands, he swept through the forest to join the battle. He's picked up his weapons and off he goes. He's joining in. You know, he's not sitting on the sidelines watching. He's going to go in there and start squishing some heads as well. So how can I make this better? Well, I put the word golden, and I am really bored of the word golden. Okay, I was thinking, what words would I use? And the words that popped into my mind that would probably be shouted at the screen by everybody are magical and glinting. I don't think they're quite too bad there. I think they work really well. He's clutching his magical glinting pilum, and his gladius, I'm keeping that, but it's going to be a fancy gladius. So he's wearing a jeweled gladius. So he's got this magical glinting pilum and a jeweled gladius. So it's a really fancy weapon that he's carrying. In his enormous hands, we can definitely do better than enormous. He is a god after all. So he's going to have colossal hands. They're so big they count as colossal hands. He swept through the forest to join the battle. Well, swept is a good, powerful verb. So I want to have him an adverb to go with it. And I'm thinking in my mind, he's not going to be tripping and falling and stumbling or running and sprinting and getting all sweaty. He's going to be swept gracefully. The god of war is going to enter battle gracefully. Through the forest to join the battle. Now, this is the last bit I want to change, the word battle. I think we can do battle here. I was thinking the war, the conflict. And then I thought, oh, you know what? If it's a god of war, he's going to be interested in carnage. And carnage, of course, means everything being destroyed and broken. So let's have a look at this sentence. Clutching his magical glinting pilum and jeweled gladius in his colossal hands, he swept gracefully through the forest to join the carnage. Now, I think what that really shows about Mars is he likes to look good. He's got a glinting pilum. He's got a jeweled gladius. Not just a normal gladius. He's got a jeweled one. His hands are colossal. They are big hands. This is a big, strong character. And as he goes through the forest in order to join in this carnage, he's going gracefully. Like a swan down the river, he's joining in the battle. That, I think, tells us a lot about Mars. Okay, so now it's your turn. Your god character is now going to go and do something. They can either go and join in with what's happening. They might, like Diana, be going over to beat up your character. Have a think about what's your god going to be doing for your character. And make sure you put in some lovely descriptive language. That takes us to the end of paragraph 3 and the end of our character description. By now, you should have an absolutely lovely character description with 3 paragraphs, really showing the characterization of your main character and the god character. If you finish and you still have a bit of time to spare, feel free to go back and make it even better. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what you've got up to.